Yalla, yalla, infidels, bow, wow, wow, yippee, yo, yippee, yay. The sounds of the sheets brings me to another day as we get ready to lay it all down to break out your wrestling news and rumors to close out the week post-Royal Rumble. It's early Thursday morning for your ultra declassified kayfabe version of the Friday Locker Room here at hackerhamin.podbean.com with Ben Hamin and Big Stevie Cool. Yalla, yalla. Oh, Stevie, off my game. My rhythm's off already this morning. I got to get pumped up, get things going, and another big day here at HMG and SRF. No days off here, man, but good to see you. Good night last night and good morning to you today.
Good morning to you. And yeah, it's pretty easy to get off your rhythm with the way things are going on. You got to talk about wrestling and bring it back around to feels like a colossal waste of time, much like watching the shows.
It was joyful, and now slowly it's becoming a burden to get through all of it, man, to get through the sheets, to get through all the, not the burden of free segs. I always enjoy spending time with you, and people love the Friday Locker Room, the Wednesday Locker Room, and Monday, doing big numbers on all of those shows, so I appreciate that to everybody listening and all the teams putting it together, man. But with everything else side project-wise I got going on, and like these extra, what did we watch between Sunday and Monday? Sunday, Monday, 7 hours. Really, you want to go back to Friday. So there's 9 between Friday and Monday alone of just hours of watching wrestling content, taking notes, only to have to do another 6 hours of punditry on that 9 hours. And not that we're not paid to do it by Russo brand, and we enjoy our time together, like I said, but dude, it's definitely a test of the human ability to ingest that amount of media and then have to rehash it all, dude. My brain's mush.
When the players sometimes are the same, you could literally, the notes we have from 4 years ago when we started with Russo on January 3rd, like 4 years ago, we could literally copy and paste the critique of the copy and paste of the show.
Yeah, man, unfortunately. And they'll probably be more logic and interwoven through it than there is in the current show. So I see the chat room blowing up here, youtube.com/MROVW, Ben Hamin channel, Ken Sorrell Butcher, Bernie DC, my man Brendo's in the house. Adua DX was the first here, and Walrads, our own MSG, checking in as well, man. So good morning to you, infidels, and everybody else who's joining us here live in the restricted zone of not so radio free America. Oh, man. It was a good night last night, though, before VKM jumping in for GGP. Our thoughts are with him as he had to do the 1 to 4, 5 to 7 shift, calling hours, unfortunately. So we're thinking about the Greek god himself, man. But yeah, dude, it was, latent with the lies of everything we're being told every day to wear 2 and 3 masks and take this vaccine that's not really a vaccine. And you can apply for a new job, but there's questions that will push you into you want a job, you're going to do what we say, and you're going to dance how we're going to dance, and your health is now going to be dependent on that. If you've taken a vaccine or if you get caught in a lie, then that will count against you. So just insane new standards that are getting rolled out, as we called it. And I'm sure the next UBI push and everything along those lines, where they hook it right to your money, whether you get to live off the teat or you're gonna keep your sanity and not do what they say, injecting yourself with whatever they're putting in you, then you're going to suffer on their new monetary scale. So they're going to force the hands one way or another, man.
Well, I think what Andrew said last night that echoed what I said here and on the Horseman a few weeks ago is there's an absolute opportunity here for people that don't want to buy into or sell themselves into the system. We look at that every day, even without the vaccine requirement or the other things that these jobs try to make you do in this market of beast type fashion, papers, please, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Start your own brand, start your own business. You may have to dance around for YouTube or payment processing here and there, but at the same time, you're not selling your soul and your life, even without a vaccine, for 8, 9. It's funny. I'm old enough to remember when it was an 8-hour day and you got a lunch. Now they extend it to 9 hours because your lunch isn't paid for. I mean, where's the greed stop? That's kind of a small example of it, but there's an opportunity. There's 75 million, if not more, disenfranchised people that didn't vote into the current system that we have right now. And by the way, the other side, or the few that lie about being, almost killed and blaming other people for sending these people into a building that they weren't even in, these are the people that are trying to put everybody on a list. Not everybody on a list that voted for Trump, not everybody on a list that's Republican or conservative. Everybody on a list as they move the goalpost and make up new rules, which means that eventually we're just going to be like, fuck every one of you. We're going to quietly do our own thing, which is really the difference between people of our generation, chop wood, carry water, do all that stuff, and their generation, which they cry until they get something for free. That's the difference. And we're going to quietly do our own thing. And then they're going to go, we have nobody else to destroy. Ooh, you're right next to me. Let me destroy you. You're right next to me. Let me destroy you. Eat their own. That's what they're going to, much like the rats and the pigeons in New York City during the lockdown. They started starving and literally trying to kill and eat each other.
They don't learn that they're just a simple animal, and that they're all that time on their hand does nothing but breed emotions, where if they were busy and productive and all that crying where they want to change the rules and get whatever it is, peace that they think they're owed, that still comes down to the chop wood, carry water people to fucking provide that. It's not like they're going to sign some piece of paper and it's automatically going to happen. There takes work to make anything for anybody. Right? It's not instant gratification. It's only them using it or getting it so they can get their video game income, turn around and go on some Chinese site and fucking spend the fucking hell out of it, dude. And they didn't do anything to earn it, put it forward, or, establish themselves as a pillar to for people to build off of. They just want.
It's a funny thing too, because there's a difference between guys like us and people probably in the chat room and like-minded people who wake up every morning trying to figure out how to better yourself, obviously, but also how to convert sales, make money, expand your business, do all these different things. And we probably from time to time get criticized from the other people going, all you try to do is make money, and all you try to do is push your business and push your brand and this and that. And it's like, fuck yeah. That's what I'm doing. Myself and yourself are our own brands, and the brands are extension of ourselves, and they intertwine into that. I don't give we got Burning DC and a lot of other people in there. The morning warm up and other things that I do, they don't get a whole lot of views. The subscribers are going up and the views aren't going up, which means I'm that non-existent shadow banning list. How can I have 73,000 subscribers and get 300 views on a gym video that I convert sales on? See the missing piece there? Mm-hmm. But that's the difference. I wake up every morning and go, thank you. You don't like this part, but thank God I'm so blessed. I'm so, well, you used the Bible to finish a 3D print, so God helped you again.
Failed, so
God failed you again. Okay, I'll have to talk to him about that. So just like Kenneth Copeland when he prayed for the jet, and Tyler Perry gave him the great deal. So, but the thing with that is, I wake up and go, wow, we got a sale overnight, and it feels like passive income, even though we put work into it. We're finally, after years and decades maybe, or stuff I might have done in the early 2000s and failed in fitness, are finally coming around. Is it going to be like that every day? No, because part of being your own business, and the reason why people want to live off the government, is because when you wake up each and every morning, it's the most exciting yet terrifying feeling to not know how much you'll make, if anything, and you still have to put the same amount of work in for sometimes, days and weeks and months of zero. Oh, sorry, I did that hand thing again. But I recognize that, and this translates in the wrestling, because they're not thinking every morning, how can I wake up early in the morning and design a t-shirt or some kind of product or some kind of merchandise attached to my brand where I can make some sort of quote passive income? No, I literally see, for some reason, the suggested stuff is wrestling because it listens to us talk about this. No less than 99% of the suggested was like Natty Neidhart, who's a perfectly nice girl and everything. And you said that too. You've met her.
Yeah, she's a sweetheart.
It's her TikTok on Instagram of heavily makeup, heavily filtered with the sparkly, glittery, whatever filter too. And just blinking and looking and turning her head for 30 seconds and not doing or saying a goddamn thing. She's doing that for likes. I might get 10 likes on a Flex Pro post like I did the other day, but guess what? Somebody subscribed, used the code Stevie20. Somebody used forceusa.com/Stevie or diamondbackfitness.com/yes.
Yeah, why doesn't we have a sponsorship with if she needs to do that stuff, which okay, it's clickbait and she's beautiful and they all want that, but go get your MAC makeup sponsor or whatever. I mean, I don't know, makeup company, Revlon, whoever, right?
Maurice did her own company, didn't she?
Yeah, and boom, now you're using that to actually get conversions and fucking have your own makeup line, have all that kind of stuff and put it out there. Because if you're getting whatever it is, 300,000 likes or whatever, what does that amount to if you're not really pushing or selling anything?
1% of that is what, 3,000 people or 300 people that'll buy. Oh, I was going to say too, like, thanks, Mike. Mike talked about the fitness stuff under $100, which is useful. I also, at the same time, I do have hobbies and itches that I need scratched, like my technology stuff. And I'm going to talk about this on your Patreon, a couple different parts. The first part is you have to kind of stay in your lane because people can't identify you as two different brands or two different segments or categories. So it may hurt my fitness business to do all these kinds of technology things, even though I do have a side channel where I'm starting to populate that, but it's a hobby, but it keeps me productive and it increases the production and the efficiency of what we do, what I do for Stevie Richards Fitness and all the other stuff. But the affiliate models too, this is where somebody talked about in the chat room about this. You can be a shill and people will see right through it. So one of the videos I want to do for your Patreon is your ethical, and ethical is in caps, affiliate model. The places and the things that I support. And this is the problem with the world today. Too many shills and influencers that do have influence that they're putting people in dangerous situations just because they're paid for a supplement. They're paid to say something nice about this stuff or whatever. Ethical affiliate models are the easiest way to actually make a lot of money. You know why? Because you don't have to rep 10 different brands, because there's 2 or 3 that I really like. Force USA, Diamondback Fitness, 4 Power Block dumbbells, and even the Monkey with the suspension training, the Monkey 360, the things I review, I do every day. I'm starting to go into, you see the Minimal Stevie, whatever, that's a brand thing right there. I'm starting to kind of condense and converge and minimalize everything, and it makes my life a lot more focused, a lot easier. The message is a lot clearer, and also people will buy because the stuff I really like and use every day and now push is like even more of an influencer model than, well, I know people that just like, this week I'm making baby bibs. This week I'm repping this coconut water. This week I'm repping this, and everything is a paid promotion. I have no idea where I'm going, but that might've been the video. But what I'm saying is with, Natty just standing there, just blinking her eyes, but then the brandy with the can't go anywhere out my tummy tea, and everything is my shirt's this, my pants are this, my this and this and this. There's also the other end of it where it becomes a bunch of white noise.
It's all flawed.
I don't even know where I was going with that.
No, you've said it about the backwoods Hollywood in Atlanta, and people way above their means for no reason. Even haters like this, like the milkman right here, saying a bunch of old heads complaining you don't know how to use the internet. Laugh my ass off with these losers. I'll be happy to show you pay stubs and see who's made more money in the last month influencing. So you can, try and incite whatever you want, but it's not for us to sell anything along those lines. Shout out to Greg Mosier with, probably donating more than Milkman is made online in his entire life. A $4.99 super sticker. Do you see on Drudge where doctors are baffled with the drop in COVID cases? A psyop is laughable at this point. Not only that, right on Drudge Report on the main thing, hospital visits are way down from COVID and everything. And then 4 headlines underneath it. Bodies everywhere at hospitals. Well, which is it? Which is it? Okay, it's this double think. It's to split your mind. And that is part of the Nazi program that they brought over of mind control that turned into MK Ultra. And now Drudge, which used to be the place to go for unbiased news about 18 months ago, 2 years ago, totally sold out and went against the right side and is now a complete propaganda shill. And Drudge keeps his anonymity so no one can kind of go at him and say he's just laughing all the way to the bank, whatever they step to him with, because they knew that Drudge Report got Trump elected kind of as the go-to news site. Somebody stepped to him with $20 million. He said yes and sold out his complete company, business model, and ethics. And now he's, probably the new owner of Epstein Island. So,
does that mean that, like you said yesterday, and we talked about 9/11 becoming a thing that never is in the past, the Vietnam War disappears, everything in history, which doesn't prove their narrative, goes away? Do you think Drudge, I'd be interested to see eventually if all the past articles that go against his shilling right now go away. They get scrubbed off the internet. And Drudge is basically anything it's literally 2020. I think that happened, right? So pre-2020, Drudge doesn't exist.
Pretty much, man. I mean, and it was all affiliated sites and links anyways, but now to see it and just to Moses' point of that, of, where they're saying how they're shocked or whatever that it's down. Well, what do you want, man? Like, not you, Mose, but like, what do you expect? This thing is all hype and bullshit anyway. A lot of the
shock means they're disappointed. Shock is a thing of disappointment. Not happy that COVID cases have dropped, relieved that COVID case, shocked. Like, wow, I can't believe these are dropping. What are we going to do now? That's kind of the thing I read from that.
What we're going to do now, we're going to do South African coronavirus. That's the next fucking.
Yeah, Lethal Weapon 2 Part 2. I love it. Diplomatic immunity. By the way, it's everybody's entitled to their opinion, but how is using the internet to only want to make money and convert sales and don't care about likes or comments unless there's something that is a legitimate question about whatever you're doing with your brand? How is that not knowing how to use the internet?
That's just another sad troll whose, life is incomplete and has to go at successful men to try and be.
Are those the same people when they're wrong? They scream white supremacist, racist, all this stuff, trigger words. Okay. Just checking.
Unless he is one, and then he's on the other side of that coin because, people like this really don't have the moral backbone or fiber to accomplish anything. If that's your first thing out of gate in the morning is to try and instigate an attack, chances are the rest of your day is not going to be too productive. So
when somebody does that, why don't you just do a sound clip of yourself? Because the inside their head after that comment or whatever, because they really think our day is going to completely stop. You put out your Bince, got him.
Yeah. Fucked him, got him. Yeah, I mean, that's the beauty of the internet. If you want to be a shitbag and come here and say that stuff, but when you're saying you don't understand how to use things to the guys who are building a media empire and an influencer empire and made more in a month than you did all year long, it's the telltale laughable of jealousy and someone who just is wasting their time and knows it and has a constant toxicity about them, whereas MSG's in the house, built out Stevie Ray TV brand, working full-time new gig, doing HMG hosting and just killing it. So, welcome to the chat room. Maybe you'll learn a little something from this conversation before we get to the wrestling headlines, and you'll drop your own bullshit. And I'm not talking just to whatever douchebag that was, but everybody, if you're having these types of things and you need to take a step forward, guess what? It's your world, God. You got to fucking get over. I'm going to stooge this off because this is
not another Oreo cushion couch.
No, this is opposite of that, of the social media wrong use. It's no secret that Serena and I talk constantly, and I influence her in social media use, especially in the sea of morons that work at AEW who ruin their career for likes and the same stuff. But she had sent me from Emi Sakura at Emi Sakura _ GTMV. In Japan, I might have decided on my own role and got stuck. I am a veteran with no future. Am I just someone's teacher? But America makes me just a wrestler and a performer. Quote, beauty as is. I want to win. Hashtag AEW Dynamite. So Emi Sakura in there, and I said, that's Serena's story. She said, I want to tweet something back. I say, tell her that the world is as big as she wants to make it for herself. You're only going to pigeonhole yourself if I'm just a teacher or I'm just a wrestler. We're all so much bigger than that. And then offer a TV title shot, because it's the same story that Serena went through. She's the best wrestler, but she's got to put over these green girls who are never going to draw in the Mae Young Classic, gets the job as the coach, and now pushed out and didn't know what was going to happen. Now she's NWA champ, shining and producing and probably coaching as well at AEW. So that to me is East meets West of the same story of this. That shows, doesn't matter if you're in Japan and somebody's marginalizing you, you can paint yourself into a corner and think that's all you're worth, or you can break out and show that you're a bigger and brighter star that you want to. So, I think that is the bigger lesson all the way around. And Serena still struggles with it, but also with her social media, we make sure that it doesn't look like some, hey, respect me as a woman, now bend over and look at my camel toe in this thong, So there's a right way to do this shit, and not saying I do it right all the time, because I'm a human being, infallible too, if you can believe that. And sometimes we sell for the wrong things, but there's opportunities like that where someone reaches out with an honest piece, and now what good can be done out of that with a proper response, So
I just wish those kinds of things, because that tweet felt like a bit of a cry for help, but scary, a little bit scary, a little bit giving up on life and thinking this is all you have. That could be very dangerous. And to take that time to tweet it out rather than even message Serena, DM Serena, or try to call her or text her.
I think it was set to Serena. Deeb just saw it and was like, this was me a year ago.
I know. I'm just saying that's the disease of social media in a way, that where she's reaching out on Twitter instead of really trying to reach out and say, even thinking of Serena, or Serena reaching out to her via a different communication method to make it more personal. It just seems so, it just has, to me, it loses a little bit of the potency to help or want to get help when you just throw it out there. And if she's always doing that, she's looking for somebody to kind of solve the problem for her. That's just my impression with that kind of stuff. I mean, we've all tweeted out shit in our inner dialogue a lot. We haven't done it in a while, just because I think we hit a point where it just, you change. It just, these are young people that have probably never even known what life was like without Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. So we have that advantage, not disadvantage. They flip it over from going into the next room, or even the people sitting next to each other that are married. I've seen Natty and TJ and other people do this, where you're commenting on a Facebook post as you're sitting next to each other, and you're going back and forth in the Facebook comments. Are you really saying anything to each other as you're sitting right next to each other, watching TV or laying in bed?
Possibly.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Texting each other only 2 feet apart. So, yeah. But I guess I got it wrong. He's just trying to help us. I'm an old head and I'm clueless. So I guess we solved that problem, and you're right once again. Last night was a lot of fun though, having 4VKM jump in with his 107 video that he just put out at 4vkm.com on YouTube and his website. So I want to say thanks to him, and he wants to collaborate with Hamin Media Group, but want to save him for something special when we need him. Not just wear him out. Not like the other guys are less than producers, but to me, he's a special weapon of mass destruction. And when we need him, we'll have him to go to, So last night, I appreciate him running in. Always great conversation and insight. Whoops. Boom. Don't want to give that guy too much shine. What else did we throw down last night? Elon Musk, Neuralink. So, and then the vaccine that isn't the vaccine. So that'll be up. Along with this on Friday morning, Conspiracy Horseman, man. I had a good time last night.
Yeah, same here. So I'm looking up, and Part 107 license for the drone flying. Like, I guess it is everywhere. I guess it's the new 33.
2032, you mean? Let's get in and get out. You ready to do this, Steve Areno?
Of course not.
It's your Super Bowl UFC weekend headlines, infidels, as we head into it. Steve Austin comments on the state of pro wrestling in 2021. WWE Hall of Famer Stone Cold Steve Austin was a guest on ESPN's First Take to promote his new season of Straight Up Steve Austin. During the show, Stephen A. Smith brought up the fact that pro wrestling has changed drastically since the 80s and 90s. When asked to comment on the state of pro wrestling in 2021, Austin said the product is more athletic but different than the bygone era. He says, quote, "You're spot on in saying that today is a different era. It's more athletic product. The guys and girls are better athletes than we were." I don't know if I believe that, man. Growing up, I was a big fan of promotions such as NWA, Mid-South, WCCW as well. And during the Attitude Era, we really pushed the envelope creatively. I just think the business was a lot more protected back then, and it was a grittier product, which I thrive on. That said, all due respect to the men and women of WWE for working through the pandemic and without crowds. When you watch football games, even with 25% capacity crowds, those fans really affect your performance. This is especially true in pro wrestling because that's how you get feedback in your decision-making process. I miss the crowds, but yes, it is a different product today. Kind of a, pretty political answer. Obviously, he's there to shill his show on ESPN, where Taker, who even gave a softball answer on Joe Rogan, calling the kids soft, Austin, I'm sure, learned from that and didn't want that smoke. So the reality is they are way softer and they are affected by social media, and they they might do flips in Cirque du Soleil, but I don't know if I call them as good at athletes, man, to be honest with you. Their timing's off. They don't know how to work for the crowd and in the moment. And that's what I want from a quarterback who I need out there to give me that touchdown, is somebody who can move on the fly if something happens, not somebody whose leg comes off the rope and then they hold it there in midair to get stomped by somebody because we can't get away from the spot. That to me does not equate better athlete. That to me equates a factory system product that is full of dysfunction.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. Some of the talent that just came across in the past year or so really to have the benefit of house shows, but most of the talent on the show have the benefit of working NXT house shows, and all the people that even before NXT that worked indies were still working 2, 3, 4 days a week. That's how you learned how to work, because when you got hurt, Terry Taylor said, it was a famous line, probably said before him, you don't learn how to work until you get hurt. Mm-hmm. But these people are getting hurt each and every week. And the problem may be is they have 6 days to recover, or they know that they're really not going to lose their spot or their job if they get hurt. There's always that overhanging, even though I never liked it, there's always that overhanging thing of don't say you're hurt, don't say that anything's wrong, keep pushing forward, because there's that unspoken, even sometimes spoken thing that, well, if you can't do it, we got 20 other people that'll be willing to do it. And I'm sure it's been said. So what is the disconnect there? And even 6 days to really get yourself in shape, or in the case of some of the people in Royal Rumble, you said had COVID weight put on, you're not traveling or doing anything. All you got to do is work out, diet, train, practice your stuff, and be ready. How are you not in shape? That's a mystery to me.
I'm trying. I'm doing Steve Richards Fitness. I'm doing ab stuff all the time. Trying, Stevie.
No, I'm trying too. Everybody's trying. Not everybody's trying. Let's take that back.
Yeah, well, not everybody. Some of us got Oreos in our cushions. I don't know. I want more from these veterans. I get it. He's trying to be Hollywood. He's got a show to shill, and he's got to play it mainstream, and he's got all these other little podcast projects with Vince and them. But if the greatest of all time are going to soft soap it instead of saying what really needs to happen, then there isn't much hope for course correction or change when the two top guys, possibly arguably in WWE history, Taker and Austin, won't step up to be like, get your fucking shit in line. And then Becky Lynch hits Austin with a stunner and we get ding dongs back and forth with Bayley and shit. It's just like, and then to, jump on it even one more show, them taking those women's pictures behind the scenes in curtain call or doing shots together on video. And it's just like, why is a guy who like me trying to hold this business up? Because it's an impossible. All I can do is hold myself to a standard. But if there is no standard of excellence anymore, what does it even matter? Because it's not even going to stand out against it. Everything's just beaten and ruined because of what they want to do with 30-second TikTok flash your face videos.
And to actually put in the post with the group shot that it was a rehearsal. Why, if you post that the rehearsal picture was there, even if it is after the Rumble, I'm like, why would I even, you're hugging each other like after you actually fought and Victoria came in and punched everybody in the face. And now you're hugging backstage, like showing how you guys are loving on each other or whatever. Why would I believe the next time that anything happens? Or if Victoria comes out to wrestle the same person that she said she's so happy to be around and such a good friend. I don't understand. To a lesser degree, remember the Sheamus John Morrison workout thing, and then Sheamus and Morrison been working every other week. Why should I believe that Sheamus really wants to beat these guys up?
I don't. And, it's all that bitches, that fucking Hills Kardashian.
I was going to say, you watch 1,000-Pound Sisters on
Is that what they say too?
Yeah.
Dude, it's just all that shit. And I don't know why, when we're supposed to be stars, that is allowed. And they've uncorked. They not only have they opened Pandora's box, they lit it on fire, burned it down, and it's nothing but ashes at this point. And I'm just standing there with a big ass beard going, why the fuck am I towing this line?
Well, maybe Taker and Austin did the same thing. Might as well get paid. It's dead and stomped on and buried 3 times already. I still have my legacy. Maybe I'll lose a little bit because I don't quite say what I feel, but I got a show to promote. I got another brand to promote. Hello, Granny, all that shit. Make 50 grand in an hour. You can't blame them. I mean, okay, well, at least I'm going to make my money. They'll always remember. And if not, I'll be more over, or we'll be more. Even Taker and Austin doing whatever you say to their legacy, they're still going to be more over than these kids will ever be.
And you can
95% of their legacy, they'll still be more over than them.
It's true. And you can be more over by going to Cameo and getting a positive message of inspiration from Stevie Richards. He's over there now on Cameo. You never know. Hameo might be something soon enough as well.
I didn't even do they pinged me again about doing the intro thing because that's the only way I could be seen. I could do an intro video. I don't know what to do, man. I'm not good at cutting promos.
Yeah, okay. You're good at everything you do, bro.
Some people don't think so in the chat.
Well, some people are sad, and some people have nothing better to do than try and tear others down instead of fucking knowing their value. Jim Ross on Vince McMahon keeping quiet about his family. During a recent episode of Grilling JR podcast, Jim Ross talked about the retirement when he feels like it's going to be time for him to hang it up. Ross said he doesn't do anything outside of the wrestling business, and it would be tough for him to leave something he's loved for decades. Retire and do what? He said, I don't own a gun. I don't own a fishing pole. I don't play golf. The wrestling business has consumed my life for the better and the worse. I don't know what else I would do that I could enjoy my life as much as I'm doing now. I don't, oh, dude, I could play golf every day. I don't have a desire to hang it up or say I'm done to do what. I love what I do, and I love calling wrestling matches. Ross also talked about the current high-flying style of wrestling and why he has an issue with it. He mentioned how talent are risking severely injuring themselves by taking more and more risks during each match. So his quote, they put their bodies at risk unnecessarily with more accumulated moves, Ross said. If one Hurricanrana is good, let's just do 3. If one top rope suicida is good, let's just do 3 or 4 in a show. It's illogical. It lessens the sizzle. Then he talks a bit about the Brody Lee stuff and whatnot. Bob mentioned Vince. He said Vince never talked about his family or mentioned much about how they were raised. He did. His brother just passed. Vince's older brother Ross. So this is probably what's coming up. He didn't talk a lot about his family back in the day. He was sad that she passed, obviously, but it wasn't something Vince talked about. When he lost his stepmother in 98. He says, I don't think that was a highlight of his life, how he was raised. He didn't talk a lot about his family, nor did we ask. That's kind of the id for Vince on Master Shoot Theater. I know that like, since we've been watching him for so long and that we don't know about his past, that him kayfabing it, the military school, the flex, stuff, the not wanting to be looked at as a North Carolina trailer park Southerner and his loathing for the South and how much he wants to be a Connecticut blue blood, all that type of stuff. And they're seeking father's approval in the Northeast. That makes for the interesting man, billionaire psychopath that we have, and I like that kind of psychological case study of what makes someone into that.
Yeah, we make fun of Vince and everything, but then again, the business wouldn't be anywhere it is today without him. You talk about the Hulk Hogans, you talk about the people within. I mean, you really just Vince and Hogan. The business is still living off of the chances that Vince did take back in the late 70s, early 80s into the WrestleMania years and all that stuff. That's the fascinating thing. I would like to know where that guy went. That really is when we criticize or we do Master Shoot Theater. That's the guy that would take the wrestling world back to where it should be. That guy would crush AEW. AEW and Impact wouldn't exist. Yeah, it would make them almost non-existent and just buy them out and just do that. Where is that guy? Was it because the Hulk Hogans and the Undertakers or the Austins are gone, so he doesn't have anybody to raise it up? That's the kind of promoter he seems to have been. The guy who had that one guy, Rocky too, that one guy, and he could latch on, and the guy kind of rejuvenated Vince to want to crush whoever's out there. It was very much a symbiotic relationship, as people know in a stereotypical fashion, that promoter top guy type thing. That's his favorite toy.
You just got to make them. I mean, whether it's Braun, Keith Lee, Bobby Lashley, they're right there. Elias, but why are you not making them like that? That's the whole thing of nobody to blame but yourself, I guess. But I agree with them. Why isn't he hyped to crush Impact and whatnot? Maybe he feels like he won when he dethroned Dixie, and now it is. But Impact viewership down this week. Tuesday's new edition of Impact featured Moose and Chris Bay defending Impact World Championship against Rich Swann and Tommy Dreamer in the main event. Drew 173,000 viewers on Access, according to Showbuzz. The show drew a 0.05 rating in 18-49. Impact's ranked 125 on cable's top 150 for the key demo, 132 on the night. This audience is 7% down from last week's episode, which drew 186,000. It's unbelievable to me, like, that we're talking about drawing numbers, and their Twitch had about 5,000 on there, that they're doing 186,000 views. They're on TV, paid, commercial airtime, yada, yada, yada. Hamin Media Group did 40,000 downloads this week. How we're doing 20% of what the major TV show is given away for free. Like,
well, it's the death of mainstream media. It's the death of mainstream media and media consumption. That's what that means. They're just hanging on and fighting, and the old model. And you talk about the old media people all the time. These producers that I've recently dealt with Dark Side of the Ring and Vice, we've both dealt with in Fox And then we talk about other producers in TV that when we lost the, hey, Scott, when we lost the 4 TV shows, they're just woefully incompetent at everything they do. So who knows if Ed Norholm or anybody at Anthem and Access TV or whatever network they're going to be on every 6 months don't have the right model and can't bring it up to speed.
How much and how long can Impact bleed like this, bro? I mean,
God, they'll never die, dude. They'll never die. I mean, they're dead. They're kind of dead already. They're the only company with no fans whatsoever, no sort of anything. And they've been dead. It's just it's just a very low paycheck for the boys. It's an easy whatever. Maybe Dreamers and D'Lo and all the other people to have 7 different jobs for making a living, but it's definitely not anything. I mean, it's bad enough when there's not people in the crowd. Right. But when you're doing and I'll say it, I mean, I catch what you tell me to catch, and it's all good. It's all really, really good, and it's quality stuff. And the curse is that nobody's watching it. So the formula needs to change, not the product, the formula of distribution and how can we get more eyes on this change. Once again, I go back to AEW. If Tony Khan's going to buy Impact or if they're going to work together, go to Monday nights. Go to Monday nights. It's not working keeping away from Vince. So go and attack Raw at its weakest. See what happens.
And Bischoff actually put it on him to stay humble because they're doing these brags about 18 to 49, but they're against WWE's C team. And they're acting like they're fucking chipping away at the main roster. So, yeah. And then Khan's cutting promos where he's gripping a coconut half-wasted and Tony Schiavone's got a shark hat on his head. Like, that's where we are. And that's
Tony Schiavone already killed my childhood, so anything he does, I don't pay attention to. Well, here's the thing. All right, go back to our brands and what we do, or more importantly, not what we're doing, but what we're not doing right. That's what we look at. So why do you keep going? The famous Vince line. I go back to Vince, and this is when I was there. He repeatedly said this whenever someone gave him an excuse. The Barnum Valley Circus, that's how old I am, was in town. This game was in town. This concert was in town. Vince's answer to that was, if we gave them a good enough product, they would come. That's all it is. Don't say this is what we have. Look at, all right, 18 to 49 is fine. What about the kids that are going to eventually turn 18 to 49? What about the kids that are 10, 11, 12, 13 years old that you'll have for another 31 years after they turn 18? What about that? What about the older generation that might be sitting there in a nursing home, or other people, the believers, the stunt grannies that get up and shake their fist and they hate and love this guy and tell their kids and grandkids about this wrestler? You're really doing your company a disservice by saying, yeah, we want 18 to 49. We're only happy with $1 million, which you haven't gotten in how long? The only $1 million you got came from the unfortunate and tragic death of one of the wrestlers on your roster. Do you want that to happen again? To get 1 million people?
I don't know, dude. I just think about my grandmother would impersonate Hulk Hogan because he was so iconic in the 80s, right? I can't think of one person that anybody's grandma would impersonate now, known as just, a talk. You could go to your local grocery store and go, do you know who Will Hobbs is? No. Do you know who Sheamus is? No. Just naming people that no one would have any rate. You could 10 random people. Now, if you were to ask those same 10 people, do you know who Hulk Hogan or Stone Cold Steve Austin is? Absolutely.
That's why Fox for the longest time had Austin, Rock, and Cena on their bumper. And then you tune in Friday night and they're like, where are they? Remember they did that when they first came on the Fox?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, what a bait and switch that is.
Yeah, just here's something iconic, but then we're gonna march out Sasha. What was it, Bax? What was it when they
Sasha Bank?
Sasha Bank. Yeah. This one kills me and I can't read it because it's super long. But Tony Khan names his favorite AEW storylines that he's booked. So after
this is the I Me My segment.
Yeah, after 7 paragraphs recounting other things, he gets to this one. He says, I'm in between doing all 3. I'm talking, he's talking about booking Dark Order and Darby and Hobbs and Cody versus Brody. He says, I'm in between doing all 3. I'm talking and doing all 3 things. And then at one point I look at Max, MJF, and Ricky, and I'm like, this is really hard. That's what I was doing. They both laughed, but the idea was Darby gets a 4-minute competitive match where the other guy beats him up a lot, and Will Hobbs would be perfect and worked out well. It was a total home run, and it was perfect thing to go from there. Khan later talks about Sting, and he noted Sting's son has a tryout with the Jaguars, so he and Sting have known each other for a few years. Said he jumped at the chance to sign Sting once his contract expired and praised him for the work that he's done. But, dude, he goes through, like, all these Serpentico matches on Dark and Darby Allin, I Me My, booked it. Ref bumps and DQs and countouts just going in. I don't do a lot of them. On Dark, every once in a while there's a countout or DQ, but for the most part, we really haven't had a lot. Draws, I think it's important to establish. We've had a very important one that set the tone early on, Pac and John Moxley. It happens. Cody and Darby, you can give Cody a lot of credit for that.
Whoa.
Dude, it's just like trying to talk with the big boys, and no promoter would ever talk to another promoter or booker and go, I booked that. That was my idea to do this, that, and that. Like, just trying so hard to be in the biz, even as an owner, really on the outside of not getting it and how it goes, bro.
This guy is splitting focus too, that his team just hired Urban Meyer for the Jaguars, and at the same time are looking to get Trevor Lawrence in the draft, which, by the way, more people are talking about those two things than anything AEW related. You're going to split your focus, as the saying you say a lot goes. Nobody's going to get over. Your team's still going to suck. Your promotion, this glad handing, and not what's the most famous thing about coaches, like in the NFL? Let's talk about coaches in the NFL or even in anything. They point out all the mistakes. They call out the players to do better and motivate them that way. Of course, when you have a promotion like AEW and you call out the wrestlers on being better, you're going to have a toxic locker room because they're all going to be offended and feel like you're picking on them and all these other things. By the way, everybody there is making about 6 figures or more. So you're getting paid that kind of money to work once a week, and nobody's telling you to get better. Well, we're saying it here, but nobody listens and everybody gets mad at us. Like we get whatever. And trust me, when I say I don't watch Impact, I don't watch AEW unless you tell me, hey, check this out or whatever. And usually it's because it's something on AEW that's bad. Like you got it, and that's what wrestling has become. I've seen people do it too. You got to see this. This is awful. It's never, you got to see this. This is really cool. They did some good work here or whatever, or someone got hurt or someone did whatever, and NXT did an apron bump. Think about that. The word spreads about the wrestle botch of it, or the botchmania of it, not the actual tune in next week because this is pretty interesting.
Yeah, nobody gives a shit about Carmella versus Sasha. Only when Carmella
wrestle crap. That's what I was thinking. I'm sorry.
Only when she spikes her face into the ground on a botch dive. That's the only thing I care about Carmella and Sasha. Who's scorpion themselves and who is trying to do the dumbest shit possible that blows up in their face, thinking that they get it, showing that it's the exact opposite, that they don't get it, not even a little bit.
But is that a societal thing, or is that just wrestling has changed into you cannot criticize anybody to do better. Like I say this story all the time. I knew no one gave a fuck about me when I came back to Gorilla, and I would ask Hunter or Vince or whatever, and they're like, it was good. Or just, I don't want that. I don't want that. You shouldn't want it either, because that's just dismissive. I don't even want to spend the energy helping you out. Just leave, go away. I got better things to do. I'm not going to waste my time. And we've acted that way with certain people that we have helped. And then they turn around and keep doing the same thing. And then we're like, all right, cool. All right. No problem. THX.
All right. Yeah. No time to waste, man. That's the whole thing. If you're reaching out, asking for help, you're either going to get with the program or you're just a faker who wants to try and act like they're ready to do the work, but you're not ready to do it. And
it's human nature too. It's human nature too. And I'm not calling her out, but you do help Serena, and some of the lessons and stuff you give her, she takes and runs with it. The other stuff that she's uncomfortable or she's not quite emotionally ready to embrace, she doesn't. And then you just kind of, okay, cool. And you know what I mean? I'm not going to beat you over the head with it. No, you'll get it when you get it, right?
Yeah, I mean, my time is so eaten up every day from 7 in the morning to 11 at night. Like, obviously I make time for people I care about most, but I'm not here to go back and forth after I offer a solution to anybody. If they need my help, I'm going to see, yeah, dude, I'll do what I can. And what do you think about this? But if it's not sticking, then I don't know what to tell you. Like, I got 90 other things to do, not continue to problem solve and have to push somebody in a direction. Here's the solution. If you do this, you will see success. And if you don't want to complete the hard work, well, I'm going back to my hard work. Have a good day.
And here's where Tony Khan wants to take this approach that he's the leader and he's driving the ship, but he doesn't know the parts of the ship and he doesn't know how it works. And he's also hired people and paid them pretty well. Good for them. They're legends. They deserve to get a check till the day they're gone. Arn Anderson, Dean Malenko, Jerry Lynn, all these other guys. We asked the question on WWE. We have to ask the question in AEW. What are these agents doing? What are they doing to help these talents improve? And are they telling the talents after the first month or two and the talents just like THX walk away? Or when Jim Ross tells somebody something and they friggin' ignore him and then he comes out in public and JR calls them out, they still continue to do it. So if they all given up and collected a check, Tony Khan, you need to look at this and say, why are these guys not helping these guys? And maybe even tell the talent, if you don't listen and you go out and do this, you get a fine. I'm going to hit you where it hurts. If you're banned from social media for a month, which is worse than money. That's worse than losing money to them.
Oh, it should be banned forever, especially guys like X in Dark Order posing with his mask off every day on Instagram. Dude, you'd be getting no paycheck. In fact, you'd just be gone to be made an example of. Because they just obviously don't understand it, not even a little bit. Carlito, exclusive news on his status with WWE. Former Intercontinental Champion returned to the Rumble past Sunday. It was his first appearance since 2010 in a WWE ring. MVP had been pushing for WWE to give Carlito a look as either a wrestler, producer, Triple Game. Eventually gave his approval for a trial run. The belief is that Carlito will end up signing with the company. Mike Johnson via Paul Heyman or Buck says that there has been a lot of internal praise for his work and the shape he's in since his return. MVP has also returned at the 2020 Royal Rumble and was hired as a producer. And now he wrestles. And now he's a wrestler who helps informally as a producer. He signed a multi-deal year last August. However, we have heard that he is negotiating the deal. Yada, yada, yada. So MVP opens the door for Lito to come back, and the B12 jokes come raining down. But, a safe worker, a guy that is an ex-WWE property that gets it fully. But here again, they didn't let him do the Apple spot, whether it's COVID or whatever. So not max value on his return. And he's, gassed to the gills. So if you want to come back to WWE, wellness policy be damned at this point, bro. Just more lip service.
Why should MVP have to go to bat for him, though, and ask them to give him a look? They should already be looking for guys to boost it back up. Like Carlito, I'm glad he did that. Good on him for helping another talent out. I think they're both Houston guys, so they're probably friends. But why does MVP need to make Vince and Hunter and Bruce or whoever else aware that Carlito's in great shape and he deserves to have somewhat of a look? That's what I hate about the business. Like these guys, if you don't know the talent that's out there that can come back, that are available, then you don't deserve to be in the spot. To have an active talent who needs to worry about his own business and do his own thing and also win in jiu-jitsu tournaments, pretty busy guy, has a family. That guy's got to make you aware. He's got to take time out of his day to let you know Carlito's still alive, in great shape, and probably would do the company pretty good to come back.
Stevie Richards
actively be what's that?
Stevie Richards is alive and in great shape,
but he works with Russo and Ben, so he's dead to us. Hey, listen, we talked about that on Russo. Subscribe on Realm and Patreon, and just give you a little taste of that. My thought process, even I'll just tell you a quick story. My thought process concerning all that kind of stuff, the vanity stuff we talked about with social media earlier, has absolutely changed. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. As much as I try to fight, I text you and said, hey, I'm going to start tanning because I'm doing stunt work for the Heels show on Stars, which is not a secret anymore. So I can say I've been doing stunt work and working with Luke Hawks and people there. I'm doing a second round of stunt work in a Battle Royal thing, I think, or something. I'm not quite sure. I know I'm doing stunts. So anyway, I said, I'm going to start tanning again because I really want to look good to be on camera in any capacity. Mm-hmm. My wife and I joined Planet Fitness just for the tanning. Well, yeah, for as long as we joined, I tanned. I'm laying in the tanning bed and I'm saying, why am I doing this? I can put on some fake tanner. I can do whatever. Or the real issue is I just need to really lean out and get in the best shape that I can, try to push myself and do the things that matter and are lasting for health, wellness, and fitness, rather than laying in this tanning bed to get a darker tan to like create the illusion that I'm in better shape. I can just get in better shape. I can diet stricter. I can get rest. I can do different things. And it cost me $20 a month and I could get skin cancer. Just think about those things. Like just even 5-6 years ago, those thoughts wouldn't even come into my mind because I need to look as good as I can, because it's really just, I can't quite even interpret what it is. But that's the kind of stuff that each and every talent needs to be thinking about for the long lasting, Carlito's thinking about it, but he's also taking that terrible chance you just said with the B12. And there's no proof, but there's lots of proof. The eye test. How did this start again? My CTE kicked him. What was I trying to say?
It was just Carlito's getting a gig via game, a tryout as a producer based off of coming back, jacked up, looking better than the teenagers that they keep putting on camera, telling you that those are real men. Lito's coming off of the Netflix stuff with Glow, so he's got some, popularity there.
They don't even know about that, dude. They don't. If the MVP had to tell them he was alive. Oh, here's what it is. See, I lost my train of thought. When you say Stevie Richards is alive and all this stuff, even if I wasn't persona non grata along with you and Russo, when you talked about the Rumble, which is a yearly thing, which my name kind of crosses whatever, just because I'm alive, I have a heartbeat, and I'm not my 600-pound life. Mm. So, but my thought process now, besides the pay, is the pre, the during, and the post headaches that I would have to endure. The travel, the mask, maybe the vaccination coming up, traveling there, being quarantined for 2 days away from my family, not being able to work with you and Vince and further my brand and do what I can control. I have to sacrifice, and that has to be put on the back burner. And then the post thing is just me saying, okay, they were fucking assholes to me. I put myself in that position again where Bruce and Vince treated me the same way that when I went to NXT to be a coach for a week, and I felt like I never left the company since 2008. They picked up right where they left off with the, hey, I didn't see you there. Oh, so are you even working? Oh, so you're in shape. You must be doing steroids because you couldn't get in shape on your own. These are the fucking jabs that people to try to knock you down a notch. And at our point in our lives, we don't have to put ourselves in that position. So that's how my thought process has changed. Not that I wouldn't go for the opportunity if it was completely right. But don't get me wrong. Yeah, I would get out of that Rumble as quickly as possible. My bags would be right in Gorilla, and I would get the first flight out of Orlando or Tampa that night. I will not spend any more time there than I had to.
And meanwhile, Lito's hanging out till 2 in the morning, trying to show that he'll be there. And
yeah, and that's not a negative thing. God bless him, but for me, it doesn't have the same excitement, and it doesn't have the same even a stunt work. I'm not necessarily looking forward to that, but the money's great. I don't want to be around that environment or atmosphere anymore because it's so phony, it's so political, and it is so toxic and heavy. And that's why most of the people are miserable there.
And now Primo's probably on the gas too, because they'll want to bring him back, put him together.
Is he still with the company?
I don't think so, but now that Lito's back, it's in the conversation. And 8 weeks from now, you could see a fucking jacked up Primo come back too. I like both those guys. I'm glad they're doing it, but I would like to see them adopt our model. I'd like to hear what interesting Puerto Rico or Latino, type of brands they could build for themselves. Not that they have to pigeonhole themselves that way, but that's a micro demographic they could tap right into. And instead we're worrying about, Netflix is done and now I got to go back to wrestling in this way, instead of like ODB did when she came back on Impact, got the food truck over. If you were on Impact, and what's the first thing we'd probably see you doing as we came into a scene?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I would either be, I would think Dr. Stevie would be the one I would want to do, or I'd be with Dreamer and rehashing.
If we were to come into a scene and walk in and it was just Stevie Richards, you'd probably be working resistance bands.
Oh, yeah. But not if they chose to do anything, I would have to be like whatever. But yeah, I'd had an SRF shirt on. I'd make a thing to you and Russo. I would get every pitch I can in, even if they're subconscious or, little Operation Mockingbird type hints.
The wrestling show should become a commercial for what you're doing on the outside, building your own brand, not the other way around where your brand is built because you're on a wrestling show. It's time to flip the paradigm. And I think ODB did that, get the food truck over. Who cares about wrestling on a show that's only got 170,000 people watching, that's way more important to get your brand over.
Can she hide the food truck in the cushions?
I was gonna say she was out. She wasn't in the food truck, so you never know who broke in and might have eaten all the pulled pork.
Japanese.
Damian Priest responds to praise from WWE veteran. Damian Priest took to Twitter this afternoon to respond from praise from veteran Kane. Big Red Machine spoke with WWE interviewers saying he's got a lot of potential. I mean, it stinks because I would have liked to have been in the match longer, but Priest going to be an impact player in WWE. I think you're going to see a lot more moments like that from him in the future. I hope not, because he didn't protect his size in the Royal Rumble. He should have been way stronger. And when he hit the ring, started tossing out everybody under 6'1". And instead he played the WWE game of I'll make this guy look good, not knowing that he's a giant rehash of an Aztec warrior. And that was his time to fucking really get over in an Ultimate Warrior style. So he did too good a biz in his new gear that looked good. Got a little bit of heat back by punching out Miz in a show don't tell the next night. But I got to disagree with Kane. I thought if there was one guy who should have looked way stronger in the Rumble, it was Damian Priest. And he buried his own size.
I agree with that. Do you agree that Kane shouldn't be doing backstage interviews without the mask on as Mara Jacobs after wearing the mask and being in gimmick?
I mean, come on. Why not just bring him out as the mayor? Just call him the mayor is here, and out he fucking comes, right? As Glenn Jacobs. Why do the fucking Kane thing if you're only going to bury the mystique of it 2 seconds later?
Yeah, it felt like those backstage interviews after the Rumble were just the aw shucks thing. That's how I put it on Russo, the aw shucks moment. Even Carlito wasn't in gimmick. He was, I'm just like, I don't even know if he knew he was coming back the next night to wrestle yet.
Why not stay in gimmick to show commitment, though? That's the thing. What happened where we can just drop it as soon as we come back to the
Hurricane did.
Yeah, I know.
Hurricane did. So unbelievable.
WWF, it's unbelievable. It's not believable.
Nothing
WWE
can happen. That's the new thing. Not anything can happen.
Never unforgiven, whatever. WWE superstar training with DDP ahead of his in-ring return. Stevie Richards is back in the DDP Yoga Center.
No. Babylon B. That was a Babylon B article.
Ivar, the Viking Raiders, is training with WWE Hall of Famer Diamond Dallas Page as he works towards a ring return. Ivar's been out of action since undergoing neck surgery in September of last year. He's been dealing with neck issues for a while, but aggravated injuries on a suicide dive during an 8-man tag. Let's just stop right there. The guy's 300 pounds. He's doing suicide dives. That should be enough to tell you what we're doing wrong. Ivar went under the knife at the Andrews Sports Medicine Center in Birmingham, Alabama in mid-September with Dr. Andrew Cordover. DDP revealed on Twitter today that he was working out with Ivar, DDP Yoga co-creator Aaron Craig, and rehab specialist Paige McMahon. Ivar responded bang with the signs of the horns emoji ×3. This one. There's no word yet whether Ivar will be back in action, but it was noted back after surgery that he had a long road to recovery ahead. His partner Eric had been out of action since November, but likely his wife, the former Sarah Rowe, as she is due to give birth to their son anytime now. You know, Stooge Report, I heard, and I hope not, because I like Warbeard Hansen a lot. And unfortunately, he's a guy who battles the bulge like me. He got comfortable in WWE. He put on 30, 40 pounds and doing these dives that are just unnecessary. And especially if you're a guy that size, it's only a matter of time before something goes wrong. No, who can stop a 300-pound freight train flying through the air, dude, with gravity coming down you? You're not. Something's going to go bad. And it did. And the agents are culpable for not stopping him from doing it. Thankfully, Big E has taken some of those fucking dumbass bumps out of his repertoire. Maybe he learned from this guy. But Stooge Report I heard was his career might be over because of this neck.
No. Well, it is unfortunate because he and Rowe, especially in Ring of Honor as War Machine, were awesome. They were an awesome team. I hope he just gets healthy. Maybe he's kind of weighing the options that when he does lose the weight, and he will. He was somebody that I met in ROH that was really big in the green juicing and other things, and maybe he's going back to that time. Maybe the WWE lifestyle, like you said, made him a little too comfortable. And we have talked about it before. When you get there, the adjustment to the game, to the environment, and then even to the road. Riot Squad were looking really soft when they went up to the main roster on the road. We brought that up. There's always that adjustment. So maybe round 2 right now, hopefully, if he's healthy enough to wrestle, he can drop that weight. He can wrestle, and maybe taking the weight off will take the pressure off his spine.
Yeah.
All you have to do is do the cartwheel into the clothesline. Is impressive enough, for a guy that size.
Yeah.
There's 2 or 3 things that he does in the ring that are fairly safe that he doesn't need to do a dive. So he can still look like he stands out without doing that kind of stuff. And he's a good dude. He's a really good. They're both really good dudes.
Awesome guy, man. And they get it, both of them, how to work their character, even though thankfully we got Big Ninja out of it all at the end of the day. But even the wrestle crap stuff with Street Profits and the bowling, and we go back to all that stuff, there was hit and miss with it. The things that could have definitely been stepped up for wrestle crap comedy that would have lived on forever. But just because a guy's neck is hurt doesn't mean he doesn't have value that way. Maybe they can be a comedy act. I liked the coming off of Vikings, the fact that they aren't doing something with Edge. You know what I mean? Edge was great on Vikings, but they should definitely be not modern warriors, but Viking warriors, not Waka Waka dudes, man, because that show was great and we were right in the time of it and we missed it again. We didn't do any of that shit. We didn't do any Ragnar Lothbrok, like heavy level ruins, or going to a fucking mystic to see the future, or talking about the gods Odin and Valhalla and any of that, like to really get a high stakes character over. Meanwhile, Vikings is drawing 5 times the number that WWE is drawing, so
think about it. When Vince sees it, it's either Ludwig Borga wants to invade from Finland. Or it's going to be comedy. Bushwhackers, Highlanders, they're all the Statue of Liberty because Vince believes in the American dream. So he puts over that foreign and a foreign and a foreign land type thing of Babe in the Woods. Or you're going to be a comedy act like the Bushwhackers and like, what are they called again? I mean, they called them the Viking. What are they called now?
Oh, Viking. They were like three different things.
It was Viking Experience, which we were like, my God, like, what are they now?
Viking Raiders, I believe.
Oh, okay. But see what I mean? I remember War Machine, which you couldn't have war in the title. My God, please grow up. You can have Raw could be the war zone. All these things that they think they need to change brand on are a complete waste. Nobody's going to turn around and say anything about, War Machine. Mm-hmm. Now, if you said, if you came out as Vince and said, hey, listen, War Machine is a Marvel. We don't want to confuse it. We might get sued, so we have to change it. You think any fan's going to turn around and say, oh, that's a stupid reason? And they're like, oh, okay, we understand right now what's going on. That's where you can peel back the curtain, give the reality of it. We love to call War Machine, but Marvel's going to sue our ass off for it.
And then the crowd takes over and calls them War Machine and
exactly
and all that fucking shit. So not smart. But again, at the end of the day, big Warbeard Hansen fan, man. And, hopefully the yoga helps and that it wasn't as bad as first thought. And if not, man, you're a performer. There's 1,000 other things you can do, dude. And especially as a beardsman, he should be out there really promoting that culture, man. I think he's got an opportunity there. Someone who's got not a lot of opportunities I don't see is Lars Sullivan, reportedly gone from WWE. Mike Johnson via Pat Buck via Paul Heyman on PW Insiders reporting that Lars Sullivan is no longer with WWE. According to Johnson, Sullivan was quietly released last month. Of note, Sullivan has changed his Instagram handle to reflect his real name of Dylan Miley. In the report, the Freak certainly had a roller coaster of a WWE run after initially signing in 2013. Sullivan trained and recovered from injuries, beat up Silvio on NXT in his debut in 2017. He was called up to the main roster. And shortly after his debut, Sullivan was fined $100,000 and had to undergo sensitivity training due to previous discriminatory comments resurfacing on the web. That summer, he suffered another injury. Lars returned to SmackDown October 2020, but only had a few matches and appeared in a few segments until he disappeared from storylines once again in November. WWE has yet to formally announce Sullivan's departure. His profile remains active on .com. So, they don't wish him luck in his future endeavors, I guess, at this point. The guy, showed that he's got mental issues and then DMing some yoga chick for whatever hookups and obviously the gay porn stuff, the bodybuilding.com stuff before when he made himself into a complete mark and who knows whatever else test that he failed backstage, be it for B12 or just being one of the boys where they would test you. But I don't see much for this guy in the way of anything aside from aligning himself with the gay mafia to protect him. He might get some shirtless part in some Amazon fucking movie where he's a bartender, but you can't have him talking with the fucking Sylvester lisp. So the only other thing to do is go straight into gay porn, is full both feet.
Do you really think he got fined $100,000? I mean, is he making that kind of money where he got fined that much?
I think that's part of the rib, isn't it? And then the other word is that he was scheduled for shows here in November, December, and he no-showed them.
And when he initially had the big push back when there was crowds, he had the anxiety attack and couldn't handle it, and they took him off. They didn't have him on TV.
So isn't $100,000 just another test of like, this guy signed for $200,000? We're going to take 100 of it back right away. Let's see if he fucking folds, bro.
That does lower your taxable income. So with Biden coming in, it is actually not a bad thing. I look at the bright side of everything. Dude, this is one guy like where if you're in the locker room, this is the telltale sign of business, entertainment, wrestling, sports. And in pro wrestling, it's a little weirder because it really is subjective and fake on how far you can push somebody. The machine can get behind anybody. But if you're somebody that works really hard and tries to get yourself over, tries to be an Elias, let's talk about Elias. If they put 1/10 the energy into Elias of protecting him that they did with Lars Sullivan, Elias would be a top guy. Why do they feel like the people that they test never need to be tested and the people they try to support don't deserve the support in some ways? You know what I'm saying? It's whores like queens, queens like whores complex.
Yeah, I mean, to watch Mickey get effed over on stuff drives me nuts, bro. You know, like when she's probably the best worker on the planet, and
But don't be a team player, or a good employee, or don't be a non-issue or non-problem, because you'll never. This is beyond squeaky wheel gets the grease, though. This is literally just you have to. They love fuck ups. They absolutely love fuck ups, and somebody that cannot function outside wrestling because Vince doesn't want you to get more over. No matter how much they say they care, they do not want you to have a life after wrestling. It makes them feel like that the peak of your life happens with them, and everything after that, it only in their sick mind increases the potency of their brand. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. They can't show
don't
that.
Do the bad relationship. I don't want you to do better after me.
Yeah, exactly. Do good, but not too good. So, yeah, I mean, Elias, because of maybe he reached out to Russo. I don't know, man. I don't even think that they're up on it, but what happens when their champions are reaching out? We'll see. Randy Orton, you might have heard of him. Burn victim, miraculously healed. He wants to fight Killer Kross. He says, Karrion Kross, get your ass up here. It appears Randy Orton has got one eye on Karrion Kross right now, making it clear on social media that he wants to fight him. The Viper responded to a tweet from the former NXT champ telling him, get your ass up, get his ass up here, adding that he wants to fight him, make some money, and then have a beer with him. What the fuck? I'm sure which will be on video afterwards after a big blood feud, because that's what people do now. He also says, I think it's fucked up that Steve Austin hasn't had me on yet. Baddest motherfucker to lace up a pair of boots, and probably one of the goats of all time. Real talk. Where you at, Steven? I know my name is Steven. Killer Kross versus Randy Orton. Orton wants to help make them. I think that's the way to go too, man. Yeah. Even those guys together would be fucking awesome, bro.
Here's what I think should have happened, because I obviously has more followers than watch the shows. I understand the social media ramification of that. Why aren't you turning around and saying blah, blah, blah against The Fiend or Edge, and then turning around and saying, by the way, there's a guy on Wednesday nights in NXT. I can't wait to get my hands on him. Yeah, you just promoted NXT to get more viewers to look at Kross, and you're planting the seed that you want to fight this guy. And people are saying, Orton, you got two things going on, now a third. It creates a little more interest for it, where he's just bang, bang all over the place. That people is like, dude, is this guy biting off more than he could chew? All these different kinds of metaphors with that, but creates more of an interest in our layer. Or maybe he does bring, there's a guy on Wednesdays I'm looking at. He can help me with The Fiend, with the Edge, and you bring Kross in as a guy with you at first.
And then Kross turns on him and out vipers him. I agree.
Why are you not doing it on social media and not telling people on Monday to watch Wednesday?
Or is that Orton being the vindictive Orton and getting guys over, but he tried to do that backstage and it got fucking laughed in his face? He's like, fuck you, I'll do it online.
Yeah, he's going to the business for himself and for Kross. But then again, there you go with the lack of uniformity from social media to the show.
Well, Ryan Satin will tell you what you should know later. So check out
WWE. You go on a diatribe. Talk about cookie cushions or whatever. I'll be right back in a second.
Yeah, man. John Moxley clarifies his status with New Japan Wrestling. I'm sure our own Destino podcast with Jargo will be talking about this in depth. After he appeared in New Japan Strongman, Moxley declared his status with the company moving forward. It was almost a year since Moxley's last appearance. One sec. Sorry, water break. Where he is the IWGP US champ. Kenta has been patiently waiting for a title shot that he earned after winning some New Japan USA Cup, but the Forbidden Door has been closed due to the pandemic. Oh, it's the Forbidden Door. He says, Mox says he spoke to New Japan, clarifying his status and making it clear he never left the company despite having been gone. He says, I made my intentions clear at Wrestle Kingdom. I'm still, all this craziness in the world aside in the last 10 months, I'm still very much a part of New Japan Pro Wrestling. I'll continue to be for as long as I damn well please and as much as I damn well please. There ain't anything that's going to change that. There ain't anybody that decides that aside from me. I'm still a part of New Japan, and you're going to have to beat me in the ring and your stupid briefcase walking around looking like an idiot. The briefcase is so 10 years ago. I don't know why we're still doing that. It's an embarrassment. Belts, shiny gold belts, that's all that matters. And then last night we saw Kenta show up and with purplish pink hair, super scary, and reveal himself and attack Moxley at the end of AEW Dynamite, which I'll be covering later here at 1 p.m. live on the YouTube channel as well with Chris Silvio and MSG. So, Kenta leaving, I don't even remember what they called him in WWE, to be honest with you. So marginalized. Everybody brought it over and all the hype that, oh, Punk stole his finisher and it's this, that, or the other. To me, it's another 160-pound New Japan guy that would get knocked out in 2 seconds by a guy like Killer Kross or myself or other dudes. Hideo Itami, thank you. Just a complete, star in Japan, apparently to his own people, and then, comes over here and is marginalized as another Vince McMahon sushi belly. So I don't think there's going to be much there. They'll probably have a decent match that goes between New Japan and AEW. But again, this is for a very small margin of fans who give a shit about that. The Jargo is going to love it. I'm happy for him. But I don't see any draw or bringing any eyes to the product now that a pink-haired, purple-haired Kenta ran in and got heat on the AEW champion. Even that alone just is hitting him with the CM Punk knee. That don't impress me much.
So Kenta was on AEW?
Yeah, he closed the show with purple hair.
So what do they... If anybody remembers Kenta from NXT or WWE, they remember pretty much nothing about it. You know what I mean? He did nothing there. So I don't know why. I don't know. There's that New Japan thing. So once again, you have now New Japan, and thank you for taking that time. We took Mia out for a walk the other day, put a harness on her. Now she howls to go outside. So that might have been the biggest mistake of 2021 so far. So now you have 3 promotions that are looking for more eyes. You have 3 promotions that are looking for more of that WWE market share. Why are you not going to Monday nights? Why are you not going to Monday nights saying we'll take your talent and make them look even better on the same night that people remember them from the past few years?
And he's got all the reason to do it right now, but he's too worried about booking hoodlums in a big match, or he's worried about booking Shaq and Jade Cargill as they take on Cody Rhodes and Red Velvet. Shaq recently appeared to accept his challenge at the halftime show NBA and talked about delivering the Black Tornado on Cody Rhodes, one of his spin moves while he's in the paint. So we'll see if it helps pop a rating in the go home to Revolution. But it looks like 3-3 is going to be the day for that match. So March 3rd coming up, Big Shaq Diesel at AEW.
33rd degree Mason wrestling on 3-3.
Crazy. I can't wait. I gotta send that to VCam too. I wanted to transition when we were talking about Killer Kross and what could save that NXT if he did go to the main roster, and I think I have the solution. Bad Bunny reportedly training at WWE Performance Center. Stevie, it seems the WWE universe hasn't seen the last of this popular music artist, Bad Bunny, as he is reportedly training to wrestle. The report comes via Pat Buck through Paul Heyman via Mike Johnson for $150, which claims that Bad Bunny was at the WWE Performance Center on Tuesday and was working in the ring. PW Insider has previously reported that WWE is hoping to have Bad Bunny involved at WWE WrestleMania 37 with a potential in-ring match involving Miz and Morrison being rumored. Obviously, his in-ring training only adds fuel to this rumor. Bad Bunny appeared at WWE Royal Rumble performing his single Booker T while he stood there, and then appeared this week on Raw, introducing Damian Priest to the Red brand as he was involved in the Miz TV segment, continuing to feud with the A-lister. Putting him in the ring is absolutely wrong. He should be doing the vice principal gym teacher spot on the outside where he has to do one thing. He's going to make everybody look bad. And it's totally ridiculous that we're still getting this manufactured property that's a complete studio work pushed down our throats like it's somebody we should be knowing about at all, when you could, again, go on that same list where you say, hey, do you know who Kenta is to somebody at the fucking mall? And then say, do you know who Bad Bunny is? Chances are they're not going to know who either of those motherfuckers are.
Did it pain you to say popular?
Yeah, popular was the worst part.
Did it pain you even more that they're adding fuel? Fuel is not exactly the word. I like everybody. Like it's got so much momentum right now, but they're adding fuel to that massive momentum. Are you looking forward to seeing Miz and Morrison versus Bad Bunny and Booker T at WrestleMania?
Well, it'll be Damian Priest, but yeah.
I would actually rather see Booker T and Damian Priest versus Miz and Morrison with Bad Bunny managing him.
Better match with Bad Bunny managing him. I 100% agree. That's the match. It won't be. It'll be Damian Priest and Bad Bunny having to be covered by Miz and Morrison in a stupid ass fucking angle instead of bringing Booker T back out. You're 100% right. That should be the book.
They absolutely. Morrison's got to be collecting a check. Miz is completely just. You don't care about Miz because right after that or on the same network, you're looking at Miz being somewhat of a likable guy and a good dude and a good friend, and him and Morrison do their thing on there, which is completely a disconnect from what they're doing on TV. They're playing wrestler. That's all they're doing. They're trying to get correct over and these other things that don't play because there's no crowd.
Our own MSG, who's executive producer at Stevie Ray.
There you go.
One too. No, let's do Harlem Heat versus Miz and Morrison. I mean, Stevie Ray's ring shape too, ready to come back and whoop that ass, bro. And that's even better. Let Damian Priest spin out and have Booker T step up with Stevie Ray. That'd be phenomenal, bro. I agree with that. That's a great idea too.
I really want to see because there's still heat after 20 some years about me being called Stevie Ray on Raw when the BWO wrestled on Raw. I want to see them rib Stevie Ray and call him Stevie Richards at WrestleMania.
Phenomenal.
Just to further it.
Right to sucker, they could call themselves.
There you go.
But yeah, man, again, they bought 3-4 credit cards. They got 3-4 credit cards at $25,000. They bought all these bullshit likes and all this stuff on YouTube to pump these numbers. So when you go on there that they can say he's got 80 million downloads, nobody knows who this guy is. No, he's a complete manufactured studio property. And this is what they're doing now to try and convince people that Bad Bunny is an artist that you even need to know who he is. It's trash. It's grade A trash. They had Snoop on AEW. They're so out of touch. The big fucking heat is Snoop versus Eminem in a battle. You go get Eminem. They also had Method Man on the line. I heard he was coming too. Method Man, jacked, looks better than 90% of your roster at age 50, is in the gym even more than Stevie most nights now, I believe, and it would have been ready to go, and is also a WWE fan. You can go back to the 90s and see him sitting in the fucking crowd in 97. I remember when they highlighted him there as well. So Meth knows his shit, looks great, and is athletic, as opposed to this guy who looks like he could snap his arm off with one arm wringer and you know, like
the big microphone didn't do him much good either.
Oh, the big it's all right there. They want the androgyny. They want the in between bisexuality. All that shows you even more that this guy is not a talent. He's a studio constructed property, and the numbers behind him and the radio plays are all bought and concocted. So he's not an artist. He's nothing more than somebody they pulled out of the crowd and said, you're going to be the one now, dude.
But that's just about everything. You look at local magazines here sell articles that on local fitness places. I'm not going to mention the name, but that was bought and paid for. Muscle and Fitness looks like they have an art to them now where it looks like an article, but it's for C4 for isotory products. You at the end of the whole article with the science, quote science, then the call to action to buy the product.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's all anything mostly is today outside of this medium that doesn't yet require a license or vaccination to do. Not yet.
I talked to Russo yesterday and raw numbers were up because of Bad Bunny, not during his segment, but a big 70,000 this weekend raw increase. So he drew nothing.
The credit card limit went down.
Wu-Tang is worldwide and forever. Do you think you would have people tuning in with Method Man from all over the world, every market? Absolutely. Who the fuck knows who Bad Bunny is? Nobody.
Okay, well, let's be honest, though.
Who Method Man is.
Yeah, everybody knows who Method Man is and Wu-Tang. They have a brand to protect. There was a time where going on WWE back in the day would raise your brand. This will hurt their brand. I'm not going to
agree because I am a huge Wu fan, dude. On Inspected Deck's album, they got Legion of Doom fucking samples. There's tons of wrestling references and everything. Wu-Tang will take something obscure and make it cool again because of that. Wrestling can't pull down the coolness of Wu-Tang Clan.
Legion of Doom, Austin, Rock.
Sure.
Jericho back then, other ones. What I'm saying is they were attached to what was cool and they are cooler. But I think a lot of places, a lot of people that are that over, they might do it for fun. Like Shaq's doing it for fun. He's goofing off on the halftime show, not taking it seriously because it doesn't deserve to be taken seriously. And it is a Masonic thing to some degree. There got to be some kind of Mason Illuminati connection with TNT, Shaq, 3-3. There's all this stuff. But I do believe that more celebrities than less to care about their brands in an era where nobody's completely bored sitting at home during a pandemic. This might make Method Man and Wu-Tang want to do stuff because there's no concerts.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes down to it, they probably pause a little bit and go, okay, well, who's the star on the show? I watch the show. It sucks or it's boring. Am I really going to be in a segment with Miz and Morrison? It's going to be a joke. Method Man wrestling and wanting to come in and be trained to be a wrestler by Booker T and Stevie Ray or whatever to 6-man it up against Miz, Morrison, and another heel. That's interesting. I'm just saying, like, now you're attaching yourself to Booker and Stevie that are legends and stars to offset the fact that Miz and Morrison are about 5% of what they could be. That's the play, I think, if you're looking at a PR perspective or a manager looking at it going, what's this do for us? They only draw 1.6 million people.
And you could do shit with Ritalin meth, with the weed stuff. It's all right there, bro. Instead, Bad Bunny.
Well, remember the last time they had somebody on LeVar and his kids, and they're saying the N-word and all this other shit. LeVar's going into business for himself with Miz. So Miz is the person who usually gets hamstrung with this type of shit, and it usually doesn't go well.
No, it doesn't. But they know they got Miz and Morrison by the balls because they want to keep their little outside shows going on USA. And now, Jomo's wife is signed too, Taya Valkyrie. Will they actually do the right thing and start making them power couples and stop making them dumbasses? But I doubt it. But now they know that they got him. It's not just him being one of the boys being like, I'll do whatever, go along to get along. Now they'll really make him jump because they got leverage of what they can do to his wife as well. Same as Miro and Lana.
Oh, please just start doing business. Just petty games.
Yeah, man. Rey Mysterio confirms he's re-signed with WWE. talking to Sports Illustrated, he says, "We never made the signing of my new deal public, but there's definitely going to be more time to see Rey Mysterio in WWE. I'm going to keep wrestling at least until Father Time catches up and says it's time to go." I think at the end of the day, I wouldn't want to leave my son there, as green as he is, with all those sharks around just to fuck with him, dude. And I think that's, if you can be the insurance policy and collect a check at the same time, why wouldn't you? And make memories with your son. I think that's a smart thing for him to do, obviously.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what he's doing. And I wish that would be news if that was the story. Many athletes are going to call out the business of the NFL or the teams and stuff like that. If he just said, wrestling's a rough business, it's hard, it's cutthroat, I want to be there for my son, but I'm not going to like give it to him easy. I'm going to be hard on him, but I want to make sure he becomes the superstar he's supposed to be without playing any of these games. That would be a cool answer.
Yeah.
And that's exactly why he re-signed. Mm-hmm. That's a very selfless move on his point.
Just to say, I want to make sure I'm here to have my son's back. Like that's open heat, right? Like they're like, oh, okay. But we'll see if Buddy Murphy, Aaliyah, or anybody else, the Forgotten Sons, if anybody makes
Forgotten family of wrestling, right?
The Forgotten Family, yeah, man. Final story, nothing too hot at all. Just 3 more names have re-signed with Ring of Honor. The company has re-signed Jay Lethal for a non-specific contract length as well. And they signed John Gresham as well, and the Bouncers, the Beer City Bruiser and Brawler Malones. I'm not really sure of a lot of these new guys that are indie guys that they're signing. I have heard that they've restructured the way they write the show. Interesting in the Me Too movement, post speaking out that the deal for Lethal gets done, but there's a guy I got to believe that's going to want his WWE shine finally. And if they're willing to hire X amount of dudes that are already doing suspect stuff, I imagine that Lethal could have got through. Or do you think the time has passed on the Me Too movement for certain people who names were mentioned and stayed small to be able to start sticking their head up again to be doing work?
I think the WWE is going to hire him no matter what. I don't think that plays into it. It's got to just be he's not quite on the radar. Maybe he has a future with Ring of Honor and Sinclair Broadcasting and some outside stuff. Maybe he just wants the freedom to do whatever he wants in the company.
Mm-hmm.
And he's getting paid, I'm sure, a living. I don't know what they're paying these guys or how long. Malonis is a guy from Chaotic up in New England. I know that kid. I don't know where Silas is. Is Silas even with Ring of Honor anymore?
I think so, but I mean, there's a guy whose gimmick I liked a ton too, and then I see him posting stuff on social media. If he's supposed to be the last man's man, and he's posting little complaint things, dude, I'm just like,
really?
Oh yeah, dude, because I like that guy's look. And then it was COVID got to him; he just couldn't put the thumbs down off Twitter, and it was like little customer service bitching tweets and things like that. I'm like, God damn it. A man's man would be tweeting out things, just cut down this oak tree with a crosscut saw, old school, felt good. Like that's what a man's man tweet is, bro.
What's their thing moving forward? They do it now. I see they do a lot of the smoke machine stuff in the ring to try to give more of a cinematic thing with their not getting booked on the MSG show. I'm trying to think of how their production moves forward. Obviously, if they're in Baltimore, lots of people are trying to live in that area, or they're bringing them in for that. I'm not quite sure where Ring of Honor goes next. Sinclair never really seemed to care about them. And then they went through all the stuff they went through with Marty. Did they pay Marty his money? Well, who knows what's going on with that? What was he end up getting? Like $750 a year or something? Some insane amount.
It was pretty high. I don't know how it shook out, but I know he's rebooked for someplace else already.
Nice. So
that's kind of
Delirious back in the spot.
That's what I'm saying, because of what I know with him and what I know with Lethal or whatever of what is or isn't. Regardless, we saw the wrong way to come out and do these things from Quackenbush. Was it Quackenbush? Yeah, he cut that promo.
Yeah,
Like,
and then Joey Ryan did a 1 hour thing.
These insane, like long promos. And then I just saw somebody, politician, try and do the same thing of, oh no, it wasn't a politician. It was T.I., the rapper, who's being accused of, orgies with underage girls where they were all types of sexual abuse and they were taking their phones so nothing could be taped or da-da-da-da. And then he cuts a promo on World Star admitting to whatever sexual proclivity him and his wife like, but trying to not downplay it. And then he goes right into the Joey Ryan Quackenbush. But women need to have a safe space to speak out. And I want to make sure that all women are represented. I'm going fucking same exact bullshit from the highest offenders. Trying to cover their ass in a promo to save face. You could line up what Ryan and Quack said in theirs but if anybody has any issues, please come to me. I will be happy to help you. I'm like, the accused are trying to be the gatekeepers. Are you fucking kidding me with this level of like dysfunction, of like disconnection of what you see yourself as? You think this is a good move to say that kind of shit? And to me, seeing that 3 times in a row equals guilty, because it's a pattern of behavior through all 3 of them. And it don't matter black or white, queers, carnies, and drug addicts. It's the entertainment business.
So Marty was replaced again by the old Booker Delirious, which you're going to look at. What's that?
Every time we say that to somebody in the business, they fucking roll their eyes like, you think he's free of getting charged with shit too? Like, we're just, same guard, same devil, right?
Well, the thing with Delirious too, I wasn't aware of any of that stuff, but his communication and his delegation of authority and other stuff like that I personally experienced when I was there for a short time leaves a lot to be desired. Okay. And also, obviously, he's only going to book his favorites, and with some of the ideas that I had that actually came to fruition in Ring of Honor that he took credit for, and kind of blocked me out to some degree at Ring of Honor, in my opinion, in my perspective. And for them not to pull the trigger on certain veterans back there who aren't in the clique, it's just same as anything. Same as any carny wrestling promotion, even though Sinclair owns a couple hundred TV stations, it's still carny promoters, carny bookers, Quick Pro Co, whatever you want to call it. I mispronounced that like Russo.
You nailed it.
But it's just a funny thing back then that I look back at that, and the wrestling business as a whole, this is a bigger perspective for everybody out there. And I'm sure Serena feels that way, and so do you. You feel like you're doing something wrong, but the system is completely broken. And everybody in power who you're trying to people you wouldn't even look twice at or wouldn't want to be around in a personal or family or friend type situation. You'd be like, I'm not going anywhere near this fucking scumbag. In wrestling, you got to play it up like they're actually some people you have to look up to and defer to. Fuck that, man.
They didn't even get 20% of the people that they really should have got with the Me Too movement. If you wanted to get them out of office and like really make change, it's just more lip service of throwing a couple knowns on the fire. It's the unknowns or the ones that are higher up that are known that no one will really fucking go at.
Well, that charity did what the Biden cancer thing did, and it basically gave out 80 to 90% of the money they raised to salaries, right?
Yeah.
The legal defense thing was mostly for salaries, wasn't it?
I believe so, to, whatever 501c compliance, or they can put money wherever they want to for whatever, I mean, you could go Red Cross. We talked about it on Horseman when the Houston stuff was happening, right? With the big floods, and look what they did, or the mounts of tons and tons of stuff that was sent to Dominican Republic and Haiti, and it just rotted on the fucking docks.
Puerto Rico too. Puerto Rico, it happened. Or the lady was saying, we're dying here, we have nothing. And there's big palletfuls of food and water and everything behind the mayor. Mm-hmm. Just a money grab.
That's it, man. But nobody's really been unseated in a power play with that to like, oh, it's a new day with people who are already married and aren't going to fuck the talent on the side and do quid pro quo, and you're going to fucking give me some ass to get a fake wrestling push or whatever it is, man. Like, it's the same old heaters in the same spots to keep things going. So if Sinclair don't care, then
that should be their tagline. Sinclair don't care.
Yeah, you don't.
Well, care. Just one last point about that. the thing that always helps people like Ring of Honor out is when you have a loose cannon like Joey Mercury speaking out. What he might say might be the truth, but they always go a little bit too far, and the crazy part comes out or the flaws come out. Therefore, which the credibility shouldn't be shot. The truth is the truth is the truth, but they always consider the source after a while. And Joey kind of did them a favor by doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, he was easy to make look crazy. Meanwhile, he's saying things that are absolutely the biggest kayfabe breaks, but nobody's fucking heads are rolling for that. It's only look at him being crazy. Okay, crazy like a fox.
The guy's a yappy. He was crazy, but look with it.
Right? Yeah, right. Yeah, yappy too. But man, I'm going crazy here today as we wrapped up all the headlines from WrestleStink and ProWrestling.com. Stevie, thanks for suffering through one more time with me, man. I know this has been a big week with Royal Rumble. These big pay-per-view weeks are always an ass kicker for us across the board with Russo brand, and now him bowing out of SmackDown doesn't make things any easier that way. So we got plenty to do brand building wise here at Hamin Media Group today. I'll be back at 1 p.m. with Chris Silvio and MSG to talk AEW Dynamite. What do you got going on today, man?
Going to try to produce some more content. I've been dipping in and out with the tech tutorial channel. Stevie Richards helps. So I'm, like I said earlier, I'm trying to not confuse the brand on YouTube or anything from the fitness stuff, which is really how I make mostly all my money. But I really do have that itch I need to scratch with helping people with tech setups, live streaming, recording, podcast microphones, which I can never find the right one, but that's okay. And of course, one of those videos will definitely be something for the Hamin Media Group Patreon, which we got good response on the first 2 videos. I think it's going to be more set up, maybe that ethical affiliate model, or how to, already did how to get stuff for free with the email and things like that.
MSG put it right to work. He's got a whole new bunch of swag from Baked Bros, I believe, weed edibles thing, man. They sent him a bunch of stuff.
Nice. I might need some of those if I keep having to watch wrestling.
Absolutely.
I could be the best testimonial. I don't even smoke pot or do anything, but I got to watch 5 hours of wrestling. That's why I take this.
The New Force Order episode 98 is out right now. MSG producing that. So if you missed your GGP this week, get it over there at NFO. Guys are killing it absolutely as they come up on episode 100. Let's get their numbers up and get that Star Wars talk going. I know the Academy's looking for has got some new guests lined up as well. So the battle in space rages on. You're going to take Star Trek, I know, but they only have phasers. We just miss in Star Wars with our lasers. We're shitty shots.
Phasers, ethics, and socialism. So that's their weapons.
Oh, man, what am I doing? Who knows? So much graphics work to get done. There's a sale on. I think today's the last day of ProWrestlingTees.com/Stevie Richards/Hamin. Customer appreciation week. I don't know why they would appreciate these infidels. Go buy a shirt. Go buy some Broasters coffee. Saw Armand bought some. Had to get a double cup right away because it was so damn good. We put it over, but until you try it for yourself, you're not gonna know, man. And then when you do, you're gonna be like, damn, they told me so. So a Totoso Zordos olive oil. I got to put some of that in my beard as I just shampooed it with my CanYouHandlebar.com. It needs a little oil in there, so I'll go do that right now as we wrap up the Friday locker room here at hackerhamin.podbean.com. Appreciate you guys subscribing to everything we got going on. I'm about to upload on Patreon pages 6 through 10 of Birthright, Tim Alberino's book as well. So appreciate everybody subscribing over there if you can. And we're kicking out that exclusive content through all the stars here in the HMG Russo brand crossover universe here at hackerhamin.podbean.com. Infidels. Yalla.